What is up, guys? My name is Tyler Price, and today, stop eating my I can't handle this cat. This video is going to be just kind of a recap of the year, as well as me sort of introducing Mr. Rudy here, who has been a huge help in the success of the channel this year. So I'm going to let Rudy kind of introduce himself a little bit and maybe give a little bit of his background and maybe a little bit of our background of how we met and sort of what he's been doing to sort of help out the channel. So Rudy, by all means, take over.
Yeah, let's see. I've been around the block in gaming and esports. Originally, my background is in building events, working with creators, and running cool campaigns. Some notable stuff are, hosted the first Valorant competitive tournament out there. Kind of YOLO'd into a $5,000 prize pool, ran that as a non-international international tournament back in like 2000, I don't know, 16, 17, 18. I really don't remember, but way back in the day. Originally come from gaming scene around 2012, 13, doing stuff like that and just working with a lot of interesting, cool industry folks since then. Realistically, my passion kind of revolves around seeing creators kind of fulfill their potential in the sense of polishing up areas that they might be lacking. And in this case, for example, I understand that Tyler's incredible at making phenomenal content, really high quality stuff, and the polish just needs to come around marketing, biz dev, and general direction for SEO, and maybe some trend ideas for how to contextualize the content that he has for the specific platforms in which we're going to market to. And so stuff like that are things that I specialize in, and I think it was just kind of a natural fit when Tyler sort of reached out and said, hey, I need to figure out how to optimize my channel for the content that I'm creating, because I'm getting a lot of really awesome feedback from the community about what I'm building, what I'm creating here. It seems people are very enthusiastic about the content that I'm building. I don't know how to put it out there though, and I don't fully understand how to get more eyeballs on the content that I'm putting out there for the amount of effort that I'm putting into these things, which is a lot. And so Tyler kind of met my curriculum for people that are willing to help, and in this case, it really just comes down to the amount of work that he is putting, the amount of investment he's putting in himself, which is most of his time, all of his money, not all of his money, but a lot of his money,
most of the money
into his brand. It's not so much about how much he's putting into that. It's more about the detail, or how he details how much he cares about making this successful. And I think that listening to him in our several conversations we had before I committed to the idea of helping with the channel kind of convinced me, like, this is something that has a lot of potential. And now I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that in the sense of we are going to put down a method for how we're going to make things happen. And so hopefully everyone's here for the journey. This is a long-term strategy, but we're looking into things for 2024 now.
Yeah, and so that was amazing, by the way, because Rudy's barely ever on camera, so he absolutely killed that. But I couldn't have said it better than myself. That was one of those situations where I've had a lot of folks approach me over the past 3 years of doing this, being like, wow, your work's really good, your work's really good, your work's really good. How have you not blown up yet? How have you not gotten bigger? And I think a lot of it boils down to just where my interest and my passion lies is the artistic, creative side of content creation. So all of my investment, all of my energy and time and money goes into making those really cool, crazy intros. If you haven't seen the Lenovo Go video, you should go watch that, or the ROG Ally, or really any of the last few that we've done, like the one we did with NVIDIA. A lot of my passion and time goes into making those really cool sequences. And so where I lack is being able to put more time and effort into SEO and understanding sort of
the strategy aspect of stuff, because it's I think you mentioned that, and I think it's also worth noting that I think one of the biggest things that I really liked about your kind of what I consider your pitch to me was the fact that you sort of recognize what you're really good at. And I think I think in the workplace and just in general in life, like folks tend to succeed a lot more and much more highly when they understand what they're really good at, right? When you understand, hey, I'm phenomenal at putting together concepts, you recognize that immediately. You're like, hey, everything else that doesn't lie within this frame, I don't know how to handle, or I'm like lacking in. And I think where it was like perfect, which is like, well, I'm actually really good at strategy. I'm good at strategizing. I'm good at putting together things that are going to help you either blow up in some sense, going to get you attention, putting all the other pieces of the marketing, like, I guess, funnel together, and then contextualizing that to the platform and the audience, and doing the work on the marketing side of stuff and the biz dev side of stuff and the strategy side of stuff is my bread and butter. And the fact that you were able to recognize, like, hey, I'm really good at this. Help me with all this, with all these other things that I'm not so good at. And I'm like, hey, I'm actually really good at this. You help me with the stuff that you're really good at. And I think it was just a really good marriage when we came together to put 24 concept on the map.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what's exciting for next year is like this year was kind of a big year as a whole, obviously, like bringing Rudy into the fold and having him sort of optimize the strategy aspect of the channel and sort of, making sure that more people are seeing the hard work that I'm putting into the creative element of it. And so if you want, Rudy, let's pull a couple of the things off that list just to talk about. Actually, I'd love for you to kind of talk about a little bit of the major growth elements if you'd like.
I think that came on in September or late September or
late
October.
September. I think it was like mid-October. It was somewhere in there. It was somewhere in like October.
Yeah.
We had been having the conversation.
The first video that we jumped on together.
It was the best. Yeah, the best. It was for the Samsung G8 Neo, the best 4K mark. We'll put the link for it up here if you haven't seen it.
Awesome. Yeah, like put it up in the description somewhere.
Yeah.
But that video was the first one that I jumped onto, and what I did was primarily just figure out what people were searching for about that particular subject, and then kind of came up with a couple of different ideas of like, one, what are they looking at for televisions, what are they looking at for OLEDs, what are they looking at for this specific brand, so Samsung, what are they looking at for 4K, and just kind of looked at the behavior in front of me and just grabbed some of the pieces that I thought were compelling to an audience that, for example, I put myself in the position of someone that's looking for a 4K monitor, and I kind of built up 2 to 3 different profiles of the person that might be searching for that particular content. Ran the SEO for it, and by that I mean I just optimized the title for it, put it in the descriptions, and tried in a bunch of different, not a bunch of different ideas, just a small batch of ideas in the description, along with the end screen, the timestamps, and just kind of implemented a few things that I thought could work. Or just to test out, I suppose, as one of my first introductions to helping with a YouTube video. And I think right now, usually I think before that the videos were averaging a couple of hundred views. There were a few that went to, I think your highest performing video is like 20K or 40K, Tyler?
I have 2, yeah, so the best video I ever had was for the Zotac Magnus 1 small PC, which was years ago, and that one got 45,000 views, which was insane. And then I've only ever been able to replicate that success once this year with the ROG Ally review, which got 20,000, which is awesome.
Yep. And then the first video that I jumped on is now about 5.5K views and still growing.
Yep.
So really awesome to kind of see that change immediately. And of course, there were some other videos that we created shortly after that. I think we have like an additional 7 videos I think that we put out. And for the most part, we're nearly averaging 1,000 views per video that we're putting out now. There are some that are like maybe a couple hundred views and stuff. And of course, we are testing. You'll see that we're testing a bunch of different types of subjects on the channel. So we're doing stuff with some friendly creators. We're doing some stuff about some different technology. We're doing stuff on handheld. So you can kind of see how we are now thinking about the kind of content that we're creating. You'll see some portions of that is testing subjects. So for example, if we know that we have a lot of success on the gaming handheld aspect of stuff, we might try something related to the like accessories or what is it, pouches, different things that kind of put the whole ensemble on what we would consider experiential technology, right? So 5.5K is pretty awesome. We also have, I think, since I started in like mid October, we've almost got 500 new subs, which I thought was pretty awesome, which is like 20-30% growth on the channel already. I think I came in at 1900. I think that's 25% growth, almost 30% growth of the channel within
2.5 months.
2.5, 3 months.
Yeah.
Awesome. On our shorts, we had one video go viral, even though that video was uploaded before my time. I think this was like 5 or 6 months ago. We had a short, because of the SEO and the tactics that we've been implementing on our latest content. That video hit some level of virality. By that I mean it's got over 100,000 views and over 1 million impressions, and still going. It's one of our top performing shorts. Still,
it is the top performing short.
It's primarily because of the Lenovo Go, content that we've been putting out and how we've been optimizing the latest videos for that in the past 2 months. We've also got some brand deals in the works. Well, I guess.
Which, before you get into that, I want to touch on that a little bit. Is like some of you have seen in my time, if you've been around a little bit, like I've had companies send me stuff like all the time. There's lots of brands out there that are more than happy to like send little gadgets and things for you to play with, but I've never done a true sponsorship or partnership with any brands as of yet, but we are currently working on a couple different ones at the moment that will actually be true sponsors or partners to the channel, which we are hoping can then help us get to different events like CES and DreamHacks or whatever other kinds of events are going on throughout the year. We're hoping that we'll start to be able to use and leverage these sponsors or partnerships to be able to actually get out there and do a little bit more, unique content and stuff like that. So that's super exciting.
And by the way, and all of that is Tyler. Like, I came in for biz dev, and this guy just pulls in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got all these relationships." And I'm like, "What are you doing with those relationships?" He goes, "Oh, well,
not enough."
Fun. I'm like, "No, let's get some stuff on paper so we can, build out the channel based off of like what our 2024 strategy looks like." So all of those relationships are primarily Tyler, but it's because of the content that he's been building consistently, and how well people have received that. Right. So now I think me coming in is just kind of flipping the switch and saying, "Hey, let's learn how to understand leverage, and let's leverage what we do in the relationships that we have, so we can build value." And that's where we're at. We're learning a lot.
Yeah, and speaking of those things, I'm just going to go ahead and say it since I haven't announced it yet. But we applied to CES and we got accepted as media, so that's incredibly exciting. Round of applause for the squad, because getting into CES, I think as a tech YouTuber specifically, is kind of one of those moments of validity where it's kind of like the biggest electronics show in the world recognizes us as a valued member of the media. This means that I didn't have to like go and buy a credential. I didn't have to go under somebody else's business or anything, because I've gone to CES in the past as an industry person, which is what you have to be to get to the show, but it was under someone else's company, etc. But to go as 24 Concept, to have my credential have 24 Concept or XXIV_concept on it is such a big deal to me, because 3 years ago, obviously, like everyone says, it just started out as like making silly little tech videos, and for us to be able to hit the mark enough that the folks at CES reviewed the channel and said, no, like this guy is, able to be media is such a big deal. So I just wanted to put that announcement out there, because we haven't announced it yet, but we did get that. And that's kind of what we're working on right now, is talking to some of those connections that we have to see if we can't get a sponsorship to have us be sent to CES so that we can, do coverage of all these really cool things. I've already got brands that are inviting me to their suites to cover some of their new products and things. And for those of you who don't know, CES stands for Consumer Electronics Show. It's the biggest electronics show in the world. Happens every year in January. So it's a lot of fun. It's very cool. It's very nerdy, very techy. There's lots of really cool different kinds of technology there. So I'm excited to be able to go again as a content creator, as opposed to going for work. So just thought I would announce that little bit of information. And it's also why we're kind of hitting the partnership sponsorship stuff a little harder this time around, because like Rudy said, I do have a lot of connections in the industry and just have not really done a good job leveraging them to support the channel. And I finally feel comfortable and confident enough in the content that we produce that I think I can start approaching some of these connections and
so
say,
let's also talk about that part too, because I feel like when maybe like there are some folks that are also kind of like viewing this and saying, well, you know what, I want to get started, or I want to do something similar, but it's like it's very hard for me to be able to put pen to paper and just get something accomplished or done. Because I think you touched on something that's actually very important and a very prominent theme in this realm in both content creation, and that's people's inability to produce because of their level of confidence to do so, whether
Right.
it's in their brand, whether it's to create a video and see themselves on camera, and things like that. So like, do you want to lightly touch on sort of what, like, the hindrance before I sort of stepped in and we had, you know, deep conversations, so we don't have to go into the nuance of what we talked about, you know, so as to not reveal anything, you know, too deep, I suppose. But do you want to lightly touch on sort of that stage of like, yeah, that stage of yourselves, and then kind of what changed after we started working together?
Yeah, I think up to this point, before Rudy got heavily involved, I still very much viewed making YouTube content as a way to practice my videography and photography skills. For those of you who don't know, like, my main job.
Awesome, by the way. Sorry, that feedback is super dope to hear. Like, because you'll hear a lot of people saying things like, "I want to make money,"
Yeah.
and it's like, or like they'll start for a bunch of different reasons, and like, I'm a big fan of what you just said. Similarly, because, you know, again, my background is in trying to like help people, and realistically, the reason why I got into, you know, helping with creators or like working with creators primarily so I can help people that are just like you and I kind of build a living, or like just realize their dreams coming true. But it stems from my ability to just want to help people, and I think that you saying that, like, hey, look, I just wanted to practice something, then you ended up creating something like a product, like your product, which is your end product for your videos are phenomenal, and you're just like, well, I just wanted to practice things, and then you ended up creating something, you know, pretty awesome. I'm a big fan of that statement.
Yeah, it's you know, and it sounds kind of silly, but like, I have been making videos since I was like 8 or 9 years old with friends, and I've always enjoyed like filming stuff with cameras. And so the channel really did kind of become a rebirth of wanting to get back into photography and videography and stuff, and editing videos and producing videos was always something I knew I'd get into. I'd always done photography, but I had never done like video editing and stuff like that. And so jumping onto that journey was kind of like a new challenge. It was during COVID, you know, it was a classic situation, and I feel happy that it's one of the making YouTube videos is one of the only things I've ever stuck with and been consistent on. Because I feel like a lot of people started a COVID hobby and then maybe it dropped off when things went back to normal. But for me, it sort of stayed this way. And like I said, you know, as a videographer, photographer, producing all these different kinds of shows, like I said, most of you probably don't know, when I travel to different gaming events and shows, I'm usually hired as a producer or a director. And instead of being on the camera, I'm often the one filming the content creators and helping content creators make their content, or helping brands make content. And so my YouTube channel was a great way. Instead of having a demo reel or a portfolio or a website, I just started using my YouTube channel as exactly that. It was always to showcase my work, but in the meantime, while showcasing my work to potential clients, it was also, you know, building a channel, right? I was building my own channel, that the goal was always that over time, hopefully, you know, if my channel started to do well enough on its own, I would no longer need to do as much client work. I could focus on doing my own work. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of the
Also,
point we reached
sorry,
this year.
the other part that you touched on, I'm going to keep cutting you off, but I get excited when you talk about certain things because it kind of provides an opportunity to present a point. And I think what you're doing there is you know, you're building up these habits of leaving proof that you are that good at creating things. And I think that the reason why, again, your product is the potential of who you can become, I think in this realm, especially like YouTube and tech, is you have a crazy amount, and something that again attracted me to say, like, I was like, yeah, like I was immediately hooked in, was the fact that you have a track record and a lot of proof that you are really good at what you do, right? It's like, how do you convince someone? How do you convince someone that you can either convince someone that you do really great work, or they can come to you and say, "Hey, you do a lot of great work. Like, how can I hire you?" And I feel like, I mean, I guess it's more relatable in the job market whenever you try to apply to things, right? Esports is very prominent in gaming whenever it is a small world.
Yeah.
You can either put in a resume and say, "Hey, I've done these things," or you can have had someone who says, "Hey, I know someone that you should take a look at because I know what they're capable of." And I think what you're doing is precisely that. So you're building one massive like portfolio of proof that you are really good at what you do, and also really adaptable in the sense of you're putting together a bunch of different things in a bunch of different ways that interest you more than anything, and you're putting your convictions over by executing particularly on that. And it's pretty much like, again, I think it's paying off in the sense of the quality of videos you produce and also the kind of content that you're producing. That's one, helping people, but also showing them what they need to know about tech that is interesting and captivating enough. So just wanted to touch on that point as you're like talking about it. I'm like, I was thinking Atomic Habits, which is a really good book that people need to pick up. But
everyone says I should read that book, so I'm gonna have if you've read that book,
find the cliff notes if you need to. If you're never gonna get around to it, just find the cliff notes. But the point of it is even in your darkest day, whenever you like, it's you look for a red car, you're gonna find a red car concept, right? If I ask you, if you go to the grocery store and at the grocery store I ask you, "Hey, how many red cars did you see on your way here?" You're probably going to be like, "I don't know, like maybe one, maybe two." But if I ask you at the point of which you leave your home and said, "Hey, look out for as many red cars as you can," and then you come back and ask me the same question, you're probably going to tell me precisely how many red cars that you see. And it really is about building enough proof. So the book is about building enough proof of the habits of what you're trying to convince yourself that you are. So when you are saying, "Hey, I'm a phenomenal producer, I'm a person that creates great content," all you have to do is look for the proof of that. Eventually you'll have enough to where you are convinced that you are a phenomenal producer. If you say tomorrow, I'm a fitness guru, you will not have enough proof in your life. You might have some things that are going to help you kind of come to the conclusion that, or come to the idea that you can become a fitness guru because of the small amount of work that you put in via exercising. But eventually you're gonna have to build enough of that to be able to convince yourself that you can become that thing. But the goal of Atomic Habits is that all you have to do ever to become the thing that you desire the most, or who you actually want to be, is build enough proof. And sometimes it just takes a little bit. It's a very tiny little thing that you compound, or it compounds on itself, and all you have to do is look back at that and acknowledge it and realize that you have either always been that thing because you have enough proof of it, or you can become that thing because you can build enough proof of it to convince yourself that you've gotten there. So Cliff Notes if you're never gonna get into it though. But it's a good read.
If you've read it, hit the like button or leave us a comment if you have read that book, because I'm curious to see who's read it. The only book I really remember reading is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and that one's pretty good too. But anyway,
I read that book and I was like, dude, this guy stole my ideas, because I feel like I think that way anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. When I saw it on paper, I was like, I should have written that. No, but it's a good book. It's a good read too.
In any case, I don't want to make this into a super, super crazy long video, but one of the other things that I want to celebrate too is that we hit YouTube Partner this year back in July 24th of all time, on the 24th, which is funny how everything kind of goes that way. And that was because of the ROG Ally video, just like absolutely smashed expectations. And since then we've been able to monetize the channel, which is a huge deal. Again, like we talked about earlier, obviously the goal was never like, okay, and I don't think it's becoming different. I have very varying opinions on this whole thing in today's world, but for me personally, building my channel had never had anything to do about maximizing making money, because if that were the case, then we would be making very different kinds of content. But to be monetized is sort of again, another point of validation. Yeah, another point of validation that this could become a source of income at a point where, again, I could sort of do more of this and less client-based videography, photography work, which, to be honest, like, no matter what, I think there will always be some jobs that I will want to do and go and produce and direct just to sharpen my skills and to have more experiences. But to be able to sort of, have an income from YouTube making this content and to kind of get, for all the effort that's put in and all the time that's put in to get, rewarded for that in a way that allows me to keep doing it, which for better or for worse happens, that's just how money is, unfortunately. So we did hit our first. Well, I was just gonna say we did hit our first payout, which is really exciting. It was $100, but you know what?
Let's go, dude. Yeah,
$100 for $108 for YouTube is pretty solid. But in any case, like I said, it just kind of was a point of validation of like, hey, like we're doing good enough work, because if any of you know, getting monetized on YouTube is not necessarily the easiest platform to get monetized on, just because YouTube is pretty. They stick to their guns about how they allow people to monetize their channels and what constitutes being a partner or not. So I feel pretty proud in that we, all of the growth that we've had and all of the success has all been organic. We haven't, done anything weird or crazy. The weird, crazy thing. The only strategy I've ever put into it was having Rudy help me out with, the strategy of the channel itself. So it feels good to know that like the content's good enough. And so yeah, that was another one of those announcements.
I think adding on to what you were saying though, it's like, I think the driving factor between us also, like, and I'll speak for myself, selfishly, is what I'm most excited about. It's not so much about the money and the potential of like how great we can soar or how high we can fly. It's the fact that I get to test out really different strategies that I otherwise might not learn someplace else. I think for me, like, this is going to be a big learning experience. And now, luckily, my brain's massive, so it's one of those things where I have a lot of ideas that I'm like very unsure about, and I can watch a lot of videos of. But it's like I want to be the one to click that button, and I just try to like put these thoughts together in a cohesive way that hopefully something comes of it. But it's like, and if it doesn't, that's okay. I think that it gives me a sort of great testing ground for things that I'm thinking about, right? Like I watched like a bunch of videos of how somebody else like found their level of virality or grew their channel, etc. And I think what I've done in the past like 2 months is learn so much about the nuance of marketing on YouTube, like marketing a video on YouTube, SEO, and then also the types of content that can be built. And for me, that learning is just insane, because it opens up another like spectrum of ideas that I can implement. And I think that as we grow, those risks might get a little bit bigger. I understand that aspect of stuff. So right now, I think I'm like kind of on a high, but like in the honeymoon phase where I'm just like, okay, cool, let me try all of these different things. What I talked about, I think one of the biggest things that I sort of messaged Tyler with is like, oh, I have this new SEO strategy that I'm thinking about. Here's how I'm masterminding that. I have this idea of how I can implement AI into certain processes and things. Here's my idea behind that. I have this idea about content that we can create. We can shorten, or we can do this a little bit differently. Here's how we can like kind of create that or build that. And there's no shortage of that. So that's what I'm mostly excited about. I think that the byproduct of all of that, of all of our efforts, Tyler, is going to be channel growth and the money that we create from that. And we can, as we build this out, we just have to also kind of keep that in mind as well. We're like, our motivations might change over time, but right now what gets me really excited is again, all the theories and ideas that I get to test freely, free range. I get to look up and just implement them immediately and see the immediate impact of what I'm theorizing, I guess, in my brain. So
yeah, no, I think it's like what I get excited and creative about is obviously the content part, and I think my camera battery is going to die. In any case, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm worried that my camera's going to die any second now. So be excited for 2024. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming. this may or may not be the last video of the year. We'll see. But in any case, I wanted to introduce you guys to Rudy, celebrate a few of the victories this year, as well as get you guys excited for 2024. That's gonna be it. This camera's definitely gonna die, which is like perfect timing. So, okay, and we're back with another battery because it decided. Anyway, so well, before this battery dies, because this one's also at 10% or whatever, we're gonna close this one out. And again, sorry, this video is very different than normal, but I hope you guys, appreciate it, enjoy it. This video really is for the folks that have been here and have been returning and hanging out with us. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this growth, and hopefully we can continue to celebrate these little victories together as a team. And again, I'll let Rudy kind of finally close it out since the battery is we've got 12%, so it's all you.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning into every every video that we push out. I mean, one of the biggest stats that I've seen is that our viewers actually tend to be more people that return rather than new people that come in. So we want to thank everybody that has been viewing the channel, has been clicking on the videos, has been commenting. Just want to let you guys know that we do read the comments. Sometimes the questions are hard to answer, so I'll usually defer to Tyler and his technical expertise. But we do read the comments, and we want to thank you guys for opting in with your points of views, good and bad, positive or negative. We read them all, and we appreciate them all. So please continue to keep us honest about the things that we do. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for watching the content, and thank you for staying tuned with everything that we do. We're looking forward to 2024, or as Tyler says, what is it, 20XXIV, which is 20XXIV,
super confusing.
And we're going to implement some solid strats, we have a plan for implementing some solid strats for the growth channel, and we hope that you guys are all along in the ride with us. So thank you all once again for watching this video. Thank you all for watching in general. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in 2024. If this is the last video that we create in 2023.
It may or may not. I do have a video from DreamHack. I'm going to probably put that up before this one, so we'll see. The end of the year has been a little messy, but we're trying our best. Expect to see some Steam Deck OLED content coming soon as well. I have not forgotten about that. I will be doing like an actual review of that, and possibly another one of those 10 things you need to know. So make sure to stick around for that. In the meantime, you can follow me on X and TikTok and Instagram at XXIV_concept. That's 24 concept. Learn your Roman numerals.
He's Tyler Price from there.
All that too. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Happy New Year's. Happy holidays.
Peace
From the 2024 concept team.